Anglers all over the world have heard tales of the legendary fly fishing in New Zealand. Huge wild trout and some of the most pristine rivers you've ever seen in your life. But accompanying those tales are warnings of all the challenges you may face. Fish numbers are pretty low, and the ones that are there are spooky, picky, and just tricky to fool. Can someone who's never fished in this unique environment find any amount of success down here? And how in the world are you supposed to choose from the endless, excellent rivers on these islands? If you only have a short time, you probably ought to hire a guide. But what if you didn't have a short time? What if you had a whole southern summer? Then could you crack the code? There'll be challenges. Nothing worth doing ever comes easy. I once again overextended myself, and I'm walking back in the rain. Getting incredibly frustrated. I cannot figure out these fish. Tough day. But this isn't some impossible dream or an unsolvable puzzle. Once you put the pieces together, you'll reveal some of the best fly fishing in the entire world. Is amazing how quickly your day can turn around. What a good day. I mean, all on cicadas. What more could you ask for, really? This is a really pretty fish. That's a nice fish for a tiny little spring creek like this. So healthy. Couldn't be happier. This is my summer in the Southern Hemisphere, searching for the best fly fishing New Zealand has to offer. My name is Sam, and this is a Fly All Season story. Thanks for watching. Part 3, Headed South. My second trip into the West Coast backcountry was on one hand very successful, but on the other a bit of a mess. It ended with all my gear soaked, so I took a day to dry out and recharge. I was lucky enough to have one last weather window on the West Coast, just a couple days. After that, heavy rain was forecasted for over a week, and I'd made the choice to move on rather than hang out in a hostel. But for now, I had one more West Coast river to explore, and one more Pacific sunset to take in. Alright, well, today is my first day trip in a really long time, maybe almost 2 weeks. I'm going to go on a string of day trips coming up. The backpacking trips are really tiring me out and taking up a lot of time. Still on the West Coast, working my way down south. I don't really know what to expect on this river. It's pretty windy today. I think I'm going to walk downstream a couple, maybe a mile, a couple kilometers, work back up, and then there's a gorge up here. I don't know how passable it is, but hey, it doesn't matter. You can see on this walk from the car that I'd forgotten my net, a mistake I wouldn't be making again in New Zealand. Okay, walk down about 1.5 miles and start fishing. Wasn't really looking for fish, so I don't know what's in here, but the water looks pretty good. It's so windy. It's gonna be really, really hard seeing anything. I'm gonna have to really take my time and sight fish very, very carefully. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Well, I somehow spotted my first fish. I might have spooked him though. I'm not really sure. I have to make the approach and see if I can get close. I don't really know what I was thinking this morning. I forgot my net at the car, but caught a fish. Really happy about that. Can barely see in the water, so got really lucky. Even with the strong winds, I still managed to spot a fish in the first 2 good-looking runs. That's a gorgeous fish. Oh man, I wish I had my net. This would make everything easier. This whole sequence here is exactly why you never forget a net in New Zealand. I mean, gorgeous. 3 fish is better than I thought I was going to do today, so we're doing great. As the day wore on, the wind became completely unmanageable, and 3 fish was a great day for me. It was a pretty easy choice to bail early and relax at camp for a few hours. This lower section of river was much larger, and I was sure that there were plenty of fish around.
Well, first fish of the day, first cast. It wasn't exactly a blind cast because I saw him here yesterday, but I couldn't see him at all this morning. I just cast to where I remember seeing him. And nice little start to the day. I'll take that. Not the biggest fish, but that's a fish, right? On the board. Whew. Took the nymph once again. Love it.
Unfortunately, the glare and lack of background made spotting almost impossible for my relatively untrained eyes. You can see here that I spooked this fish. I never saw it. Blind casting can be tricky. It turns out that the sunny day I'd hoped for wouldn't be happening.
Little rain shower passing through. I knew it was supposed to rain in the coming days, but I thought today would be one last good one. Hopefully it's just quick because I can't really see a thing and I don't want to be out here in the rain if I can't see.
The majority of this day turned into blind casting, which I hadn't had too much luck with thus far in the South Island. But I was loving the scenery and feeling confident that I'd eventually bump into a trout. If I told you that I was paying attention here, that would be a lie. Sometimes you have to rely on luck.
Really nice. Very happy with that, especially for not thinking I was gonna catch any more all day. Beautiful blue cheeks. Awesome. Yeah, just right at the top of this pool. Right where you'd expect them to be, honestly, but hard to tell if you can't see. Well, I finally sighted a fish. It's been hours, but see if I can get up to him without spooking him. He's cruising. Yeah. Well, I finally sighted a fish. He was cruising the pool, sipping dries, but I got him on the nymph. It's a really pretty fish, really vibrant spots, not a scratch on him. Well, I just took maybe 15 steps and I found another fish. Makes me wonder how many I walked over earlier. This one might be a challenge though, he's in really shallow water. You know, I suppose the downside of being able to see the fish is it's more frustrating when you spook them.
This brief moment of sun and blue sky was just the calm before the storm. I only had time to fish a couple more good-looking runs before I could see the approaching rain.
Well, I got some rain moving in over there and I've walked a long way. Even though it's still only about 2 o'clock, I think I'll call it an early day and head back. That's a win. I'll take it.
I really enjoyed this river, but I don't feel like I got to fish under good conditions. It's on the list for a revisit next time. I once again overextended myself and I'm walking back in the rain. The storm cleared in the evening, and I was treated to a beautiful rainbow to close my time here. That would be the last nice weather I'd experienced for many days. It rained overnight and kept going. I spent a couple more days in a hostel mulling my options. There were enough rivers around here to occupy me for months. But seeing the streets like this made my decision for me. It was time to head to my next region, albeit a few weeks earlier than planned. I decided to at least drive the length of the West Coast to check it out. I was hopeful I'd make it back through here. And maybe some of the rivers would be fishable. They wouldn't be. And as it turned out in the end, my drive north would take a completely different route, so this was the last I'd see of the Wild West Coast. It was about an 8-hour drive, so there wasn't too much time for pit stops. There were a few non-negotiable things I wanted to check out though. Glaciers and big surf. This big river marked my turn away from the coast and into the mountains. I couldn't help but think of this and all the other rivers I'd passed over, wondering what possibilities would exist in better weather. That's one thing about New Zealand. No matter how long your visit, there will always be things you can't touch that will draw you back someday. Finally, over the pass, after a long, rainy, and beautiful day, I'd arrived in Southland. I found a nice spot to pitch my tent for my stay and did some reading on this expansive region. I got an early start, excited for a sunny day on the river.
Okay, I'm pretty excited today. First day in the Southland. I haven't fished in 4 days. It's been raining. I've been driving a lot. I'm pretty much in the far deep south of New Zealand now. This is the crux of my trip. It's February 2nd. February is the month where I have the most planned, the most things I want to do. It starts today. Fishing the headwaters of a pretty famous river. Fish aren't too big, but there should be good sight fishing. I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but I'm just excited to be down here. Well, I almost walked by the first fish of the day. He's in a really, really shallow, strange spot, but that's what I heard about this river, is that the fish will do that. So here we go. Not too big, but let's see if we can get him. Either spooked or not feeding. Not interested. There's a pretty nice brown feeding on the surface. I'm probably only going to get 1 or 2 casts at him just because of the location. But love to see it. Beautiful morning. See how this goes. He took a swipe at it, but he didn't like it. I think I'm gonna have to make a quick change. Okay, I've downsized the fly, put on something with a little bit less outrageous parachute. Not gonna fool this fish, unfortunately. Well, I'm gonna start blind fishing, unfortunately. It's just kind of shadowy and I can't see, but it looks like pretty good water. I've been walking over a lot of water without any fish, so I'm kind of just wondering.
In my overconfidence, I assumed I'd figured out the New Zealand style of fishing during my first month here. Southland was different, and I wasn't sure why. All I knew at this point is that I was struggling. There were plenty of fish in this river, but I couldn't crack the code. This would be my first day getting skunked in New Zealand, which in hindsight is actually pretty impressive that I'd made it this far. In the end, I didn't keep fishing. Instead, I swallowed my pride and went to the local fly shop to ask some questions. And boy am I glad I did. I was informed of a few key things. First, the region was in the midst of a drought and all the rivers were low with wary trout. Second, I wasn't using the right flies. My tried and true patterns up to this point weren't going to work as well here. Specifically, I had to start using willow grubs, which I'll talk more about, and my dry flies had to be a bit more exact than I was used to. Third, these were the busiest days of the year in this area, so the fish were extra pressured and picky, and I'd have a harder time finding stretches of water to myself. That's not what you want to hear when fishing a new area, but could explain some of my struggles the day before. Plus, I was given a cool tip, a small hidden spring creek that I was assured wouldn't be on many people's radar. I made a tricky crossing of a larger river and found myself in a stunning stretch of water hemmed in by willows. It took a couple pools of trial and error, but I eventually found some fish.
Well, I wanted to get one to the net before I really talked about this place, but I had to cross the main river, and there's this beautiful secluded spring creek that isn't really even on a map, loaded with fish. And number one, first fish from this creek and first willow grub fish of the trip, which is a new terrestrial for me.
Willow grubs are basically inchworms that live in the willow trees lining the river. They're the larvae of sawflies and become a major food source for these trout in the hot, sunny Southland summer. When the sun's beating down on the willows, the grubs will literally cook. You can hear them popping in the trees. Then they'll drop into the water. Wind will also do the job. The trout lock in on them, sometimes to the exclusion of everything else. I was using a tiny piece of yellow foam on a hook, a bare bones fly, but it would prove to be very effective.
Well, this is a more American-sized fish. That's a little guy. Ate the willow grub. Back you go. That was a similar caliber to the first fish, but got off. I'm using 5X tippet because the hooks are so small. So he got into the branches and got off, but that's good, good sign.
This was a really cool piece of water, but the further upstream I got, the more clear it became that whoever owned the surrounding farmland was making some major changes to the creek.
Well, I'm doing a pretty quick bail from this creek. It just got kind of strange up there. Someone's been bulldozing the vegetation on the edges, and honestly right in the middle of the creek too, so it doesn't really feel right. Something's off about it. There's just a bunch of tiny fish. There's a few decent ones, but we're moving on.
That was only a couple fish and nothing huge, but that was one piece of the puzzle in place. Willow grubs work.
Well, made it back out to the main river and got a thunderstorm coming in. It doesn't thunder and lightning very often in my experience here, so not loving that. Gonna take a break. Need to recalibrate everything.
After the brief storm, I made my way back to a bigger piece of water, hoping that I could find an access spot and catch the evening bite.
Alright, we're at the last chance of the day. It's about 5 p.m. I'm hoping to catch the evening bite, which is something I've not been doing in New Zealand because I've been much more successful during the day. So, yeah, I have high hopes though. I think I've figured out the fly situation at the very least. So let's give it a shot.
In addition to the willow grubs, my new arsenal of flies included red parachute atoms and red emergers. Red is key, apparently.
Well, after a lot of trial and error, I finally figured out what the fish are interested in. Size 20 emerger, which is ridiculous for New Zealand, but I'm happy to have figured it out. Let's get this one back and see if I can get a couple more tonight. The night is young.
Two more fish, a little bit bigger, nothing huge. But that evening was a second piece of the puzzle. Small red dries and emergers also work. I found a spot to take in a Southland sunset, assuming the next day I'd knock it out of the park. I woke up very early, hoping to get to a specific section of water before anyone else.
Well, I didn't get the spot I wanted, classic for this area it seems like. But I got a pretty long section, beat as they're called down here. I don't know anything about the water. I haven't fished this section yet. It's still really early, it's still really foggy, but I don't know. Let's do it. Why not? Spooky morning. I think I might sit down and wait till the fog lifts a little. I'm having a hard time seeing into the water at all.
Even the eels were feeling lethargic. It was just that kind of morning. But it didn't take long to start seeing trout rising in the mist.
Oh no! Dang it. That would have been a nice start to the morning. At least they're rising. Oh, fuck. So it continues.
I definitely figured out the correct fly patterns on this weird morning. But you don't get too many chances down here. Those were some big misses. And once the fish stopped rising, I couldn't see a thing.
That's technically my second fish of the day, but I don't think that either of these really count by Kiwi standards. Really fat, healthy looking little guy though. Okay, I need to move because I don't want to catch any more of those.
What was most frustrating wasn't the fishing, it was the crowds. In hindsight, I was choosing to fish these popular rivers during their peak season, so this was entirely on me. But as I looked for a new spot to fish, I just couldn't find anything on any of the bigger rivers. Literally every access spot for dozens of miles was taken. I'd run into probably less than 5 anglers so far in New Zealand. This was just kind of shocking. So I was forced to find another smaller, more obscure piece of water.
Alright, well I got really frustrated on the big river just with all the people. So I found a smaller creek and there's a crazy willow grub hatch going on. First fish, nothing special, but there's plenty of big ones in here. Get him back and try to find a better fish.
Small fish were way better than no fish. Plus, I was starting to get the hang of the willow grub. Nice little guy.
All right. Putting up numbers. Small numbers, but numbers. Well, this has been a very unique day. Willow grub season is here for these sized fish anyway, but I know there are bigger fish in here. I've seen them, so it's just a matter of finding the best pools. Wrapped me around something and got off. It's okay. There's a lot of obstacles in here. I'm fishing under a bridge. Love it. This pool is like out of a fairy tale. Gorgeous. Can't see a thing, but they are rising, so that helps. Guy.
Again, little fish are better than no fish, but this isn't why I came all the way to New Zealand.
Really only finding the smaller fish in here, so I'm gonna backtrack, I think.
Back to the first pool on this creek, I saw a more sizable fish feeding on the grubs.
All right, now we are approaching the size range I'm more interested in. This is a really pretty fish. Still not huge, but not a baby. No more luck. Moving on. Well, this is my last effort of the day. Pretty much every single pullout on the main rivers are taken. It's wild. I forgot that this is a holiday weekend, so that's probably why. But I'm on a small tributary now. I've had better luck on the tributaries. At least there's no one here, so maybe they were earlier in the day, but for now I have some water to myself, and we'll see how it goes. Good news, I saw a pretty sizable fish. Bad news is I spooked him. Oh, dang it. It was indeed the willow grub. I pulled that out of his mouth, so there's still another one feeding over there. Looking at it real close, which upsets me. Well, of course, the one I managed to actually land is by far the smaller of the two, but I would say this is a fish worth catching anywhere in the world. Time to probably go home. I've had a very long, frustrating day, but I put some pieces together. Willow grub. I do like the willow grub. A very long day. It's only 5 o'clock, but I don't know what energy I have left in me for another stop. I probably hit 3 different stretches and tried to stop at 12, 15 different places, but everywhere is packed. I actually liked this little stretch, and then a guy just walked up right below me. I was fishing downstream, and then there's somebody upstream, even on this little tributary. So I think it might be time to stop, tie some flies, plan the next move. I might come back here in a couple weeks if it quiets down. I actually really like a lot of the water. It's just so busy. Unbelievable.
The small creeks were fun, but I was fed up with the crowds, and another couple days of rain were moving into the area, a perfect excuse to take a break. I made my way down to the southern tip of the South Island, Bluff. This is where my Te Awaroa hike was supposed to end a few years earlier. Even though I didn't technically walk to the end, I still wanted to make it. I wouldn't quite describe this as an accomplishment, but it did feel like I'd finally closed that chapter. I stayed there a day and a half resting and hiding from the rain, but I couldn't stay away for long. I was determined to have a successful day in one of these Southland rivers. The crowds were as bad or worse when I got back.
Well, took yesterday off and most of this morning off. It's about 1 in the afternoon. And once again, every access point is taken except for this one that is right on the highway. The one a few hundred meters below is taken. The one a few hundred meters above is taken, but I'll take my time. It's not where I want to be, but zen. Zen with all the cars.
Despite the pressure, I thought I had these fish somewhat figured out. And this short section ended up meandering through some beautiful farmland and was loaded with fish.
Not entirely sure, but either way, switching it up, putting on a merger. See if I can get him on this. If not, then the willow grub. If not, I don't know. Moving on, I guess. I've heard that when the sun is hitting the willow trees, the grubs kind of cook as they say, and they fall into the water, and the trout love that. So I'm wondering if he's just targeting the sunny times, grubbing, then going back down, waiting for the sun again. Either way, put a grub on, and give it a shot.
I tried everything I could think of, but I clearly only had a couple pieces of a much larger puzzle.
I have a next to impossible time with these fish in these slow, long pools. Might as well just skip it. What a waste of time. I don't even know why I'm doing that. Should just stick with the fish I'm more confident in.
I say things, but seeing a few sizable fish makes me forget all of that.
It's like 6 terrible casts in a row. And I snapped my fly off in the tree. What a mess. What a mess. This is my official. I'm gonna stop fishing to the fish in the pools. Gotta focus on the riffles. Absolutely no interest. Not even a look. I'm getting incredibly frustrated. I cannot figure out these fish.
Maybe the hatch changed a bit, but things did turn around. My first fish of the day certainly didn't make this easy on me.
Happening right now. Oh, this is a crazy fight. Well, I both worked very hard for this fish, and he worked very hard to not be caught. That was probably the best fight I've experienced in New Zealand. He wrapped me around a log twice. I had to go manually unwrap him. Took a size 16 emerger, the first fish I could figure out all day. Wow. So happy with that. Beautiful. All right, well, second fish of the afternoon. Also took the size 16 red emerger. He came out pretty far for it. I didn't even see this one. Makes me think I should maybe be fishing some more water that I have been passing over because I didn't see fish. But feels good to get a couple fish out of this river. I was starting to feel like I was losing the battle, but at least it's a draw today.
These weren't huge fish, but after my recent struggles, they might as well have been trophies. Now that I had some weight off my back, I could appreciate my surroundings a bit more. It is kind of funny to, finish a few good drifts, walk up to it, stick. The afternoon was wearing on, and I was determined to find one more fish to cap the day.
There's a couple fish rising right here. Perfect cast. Willow grub, perhaps? Can I interest you in some grubbing? Oh, he took the grub! I just love the grub. It's so fun. man, I saw this fish and his companion rising. And I tried all the dries I had, couldn't really figure it out, and then I remembered it's willow grub season. And that's best fish of the day, best fish I've caught in quite a while, really. Feels good. Willow grub, grubbin'.
I fished a couple more pools, but after that third fish, I was content to hike back through the farm and end my day. I had 2 more days planned for this area, but the wind was the worst I'd seen so far, forcing me to take a day off. On my last day, I decided to brave the wind and revisit that small spring creek, confident that I could find at least one more fish to end my time here.
Well, as is obvious, very, very windy today. I didn't fish at all yesterday because of the wind. Today I just have to get out for a little bit, so I'm going to a small spring creek. It's really hemmed in by willows, so I'm hoping there's some shelter, and I know there's at least like maybe half a mile of pretty fishy water. There's a few opportunities there for me, I hope. And I'm out of here tomorrow, so this is my cap on the this area. Yeah, it's been okay. I'm excited for what's next though. I have some good stuff planned. Well, it's super windy, which is blowing all the willow grubs out of the trees. There's some big fish in this little creek. That's a nice fish for a tiny little spring creek like this. I'm pretty pumped about it. And saved the day too. Whew. Oh, man.
That was all I needed, and I went back to my campground to pack up. I was done with this area, leaving with the feeling that if I'd had better timing, it would have left a much different impression. Regardless, there was a whole island to explore, and I'd probably wasted some valuable days down here. Up next, I was getting away from other fishermen and back to my bread and butter, the backcountry. Still in Southland, but a bit into the mountains, I'd been here before. This was just about the southern extent of my Te Awaroa hike. I was excited to retrace some steps and one of the most beautiful valleys I'd ever seen. Most importantly, I wanted to give myself plenty of water to cover. This trip gave me a very large lake, plus many kilometers of river above it. This was my first time fishing a lake in New Zealand, and I didn't really know what to expect.
Alright, the couple weeks of day trips are over. I'm going on a 4-day, 3-night trip up to the top of the lake where the river comes in, and then I'm gonna hike up the river and see what I can find. I'm also gonna fish some of the inlets of the creeks in the lake. I was having a very hard time on the famous Southland rivers, so I'm hoping for a rebound here. And I mean, stellar scenery, so can't be too bad. So the original plan was to walk a little bit further than this, up 2/3 of the way up the lake and then start looking, but the very first inlet creek, there's a nice brown. I don't know where he is at the moment, but I have to set up the rod at least for the future ones.
I'd lost sight of this fish long before I made a cast, but it was encouraging to see one so soon.
After a fair bit of walking, reached inlet number 2, and I'm pretty sure I see a fish in there. See if I can get to him. I don't know how spooky lake fish are down here. First time lake fishing, so we'll see. Oh yeah! Woo. I didn't prepare the net or anything. Well, this is the christening of the new 6-weight. And he came up and took the blowfly. It's a great fish. Amazing. First fish in a lake in New Zealand. All right. Man, to be catching fish in this setting. Amazing. I'm normally partial to rivers, but I think this is a lake I could get on board with for sure. This is where the forest ends, which means a wind-swept exposed rest of the day, which means potato chips and water. One more break. Only break, really. Haven't taken any breaks. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, it's about 10 kilometers to the end of the lake. There's a 4-wheel drive track here, but I like walking. You know that. Big fan of walking. Well, fish number 2, much smaller. Also came up and took the blowfly. Still happy to catch him. That might be all that's at this inlet, so keep hiking. This inlet has just the tiniest trickle of water. I was hoping they'd be a little bit bigger, but there's still a nice drop off. I'll make 1 cast, 2 casts.
That first fish was very promising, but as the wind picked up and the sun went behind the clouds, I wasn't spotting much. I could have taken much longer to blind fish the shoreline, but I decided to get to the hut and work up from there.
Well, I made it to home for the next few days. There's a couple other people here. They're fishing the river today, so I'm gonna keep to the lake, fish the inlet. I actually just saw a rise right there. So maybe fish from here to the inlet, then start up the river and really hit the river the next couple days, but stick to this simple lake fishing for now. It's kind of peaceful.
This was my first South Island rainbow. Not an impressive specimen, but it was cool to catch a different species. I had to go up and around a cliff to get to the river mouth, and I got to fully see the scope of the majestic place I'd walked into. The mouth looked pretty promising, but a sudden shift in the wind made things really tricky. I started up the river blind casting as I went. I wasn't having any luck blind casting into the wind, so for a bit I put my camera down. Quickly, I hooked into a feisty trout. Another rainbow, a beautiful fish, a bit more respectable, and a great fighter.
Not only was I not filming this one again, didn't even have the camera set up. The tripod was just on the ground, but I was blind casting through this run and this really feisty rainbow took the nymph. He's so pretty, just incredibly pink, like not a spot on him. Perfect condition. And he dragged me way downriver. It's hard to see, so just blind casting works out sometimes.
I didn't have much more energy in me, so I hiked back up to the trail, took in the mountain valley, and went back to the hut for the night.
I didn't really film anything last night. I got back to the hut. It was completely full. I was exhausted. I ate, slept, woke up, started hiking, and I'm gonna drop down to the river now and see how today goes. Looking forward to it. I got a lot of water ahead of me, no people. It's gorgeous here. Well, it's been a lot of walking, no fish, but see my first one down in there. Hopefully, don't spook them. I always get nervous when there aren't very many fish around because you get like a few casts every day. Gotta make them count. Bummed about that. That was a nice brown. look like. First fish and only fish I've seen today.
Another tricky start. The water looked great, but the fish in this river were spooky and a long walk apart. Still, the scenery here kept me in a good mood while I searched for that first fish.
Probably 5 kilometers of water and seeing this is my 5th fish, so I don't know how much longer I'm willing to walk, and I would really like to make this one count. Ah. He went up and looked at it. Damn it. This beautiful river's not been kind to me. Oh, what a mess. Give him a minute, see if he reappears. Oh, further up the same pool, another fish. Very challenging spot. I don't know how I'm gonna... I just need to hook him first and then I'll worry about it. But, yeah, this might be one of the last fish of the day, so gotta get him. Man, tough day. If it wasn't so pretty, I'd be pissed.
Pretty much as soon as I hooked this fish, I had to figure out how in the world I was going to get down to land it.
Need to find a spot I can jump down and net this fish. He's pretty tired, but he's a nice one. Maybe I have to go all the way to the bottom of the pool.
Somewhere downriver, I was able to jump down and land this gorgeous brown trout.
Well, after a morning of frustration, this is a beautiful fish. So healthy. Couldn't be happier. Took a cicada, big dry fly eater. What else could you want? Great. I don't know if there's gonna be any more today, but that one makes the day worth it, I'd say. Beautiful place. Well, that fish, I'd say, really salvaged my day. I was getting worried again. I feel like this is a common theme recently that I would get shut out, but yeah, found a fish. Took a big old cicada. Love that. And now I guess I'll keep going for a little while this afternoon. I was actually about to turn around, but now that I caught a fish, much more willing to hike through this valley full of head-high grass and holes. Well, once again, I've spotted a nice fish in a crazy spot right in the middle of the current, and I have no way of getting down there, but I'm not going to go all the way around and cross, so Godspeed. Yeah! Oh God.
This second hookup was in an even more tricky spot.
Not really sure what the end game is here, but it's a solid rainbow.
There was a small gap upriver where I could access the shoreline, but as soon as I got down there, the fish spit the hook.
Oh, there he goes. As soon as I stepped down there to net him, hook popped right out. It's okay. It was a rainbow, a little bit smaller than the last one, but good to hook another fish. Maybe next time I'll be in a better spot to just straight up land it. It's getting kind of complicated up here. I was peeking from up on this ridge here on my walk by. I think I see a fish. It's hard to tell. Could just be a gray rock, but yeah, what's the harm? Really is amazing how quickly your day can turn around. I was ready to leave an hour ago. I was thinking about how long the walk out to the car would be. And here we are, fish number 2, almost fish number 3. What a good day. I mean, all on cicadas. What more could you ask for, really? This is one of the prettiest rivers I've ever fished, and hopefully there's a few more fish coming, but if not, I mean, it's a nice fish. Nothing to complain about. Nothing to complain about.
That was 3 fish in a really short stretch of water. The day had completely turned on its head. But as often happens in New Zealand, seeing fish and catching fish became 2 very different things.
Thought that was too good to be true. Not a fish. Well, I definitely saw 2 fish in here. Given how few fish are in this river, I'm gonna wait until I see them again. Oh, eat it, come on. Eat it. Oh! He did eat it. Missed the hook set. That was so cool though. He followed it for like 20 feet across the pool, like, and then I messed that up. Damn. It's a crucial missed opportunity. Well, I've been watching a fish in this pool for a while. It's pretty active. He's risen a couple times. Hopefully he's a cicada muncher. Got him to take. Thought I had a good hook set, but he spit the hook pretty quick.
The conditions had begun to turn against me, as they often did these midsummer afternoons.
Well, the wind has really picked up. I've spooked the last 2 fish. 2.5 fish. So, the trail 2 fish on the day. That's fine. That's all good. Anything more is just icing on the cake from this point. But we're moving. Every fish is starting to feel like the last one, but there's a nice one rising over there. Really feeling the pressure. Debating a fly change, I don't even know. But, let me give it a shot. So frustrating, I just can't see where he is anymore. Did some blind casting in this last pool full of juveniles, so I think that's a sign that today might be done and I need to walk back.
I had food packed for a couple more days, but I decided that I was content with my time on this river. All that was left for me here was a long walk out admiring the natural beauty of this place. Finally back to the car, I slept and pondered my next moves. I was completely ready for something new. But technically, Southland encompasses another area, arguably the most scenic and my #1 destination in the entire country. On top of a couple incredible rivers coming up, I would also find myself deep in the backcountry fishing one of, if not the best river in all of New Zealand. This would end up being the peak of my entire trip. I was going to get back on track in a big way. Up next, the Fiordlands.
Beautiful fish. It's really tough to beat that for me. That that is a healthy South Island brown. Just to catch a fish like this in a place like this, super special.